Yes.
Om Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam. Om Sahana-Vavatu Sahana-Bhunaktu Saha-Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so we are on verse number 8 and we will chant that. Vishwam pasyati karya karanataya saswami sambandataha.
Vishwam
Pashyati karanataya
Swaswami
sambandhataha
Shishyacharya-taya tathaiva pitr putradyatmana bhedataha.
शिष्याचार्यतया तथैव पितृपुत्राद्यात्मना
स्वप्ने जागृति वाय एष पुरुषो माया परिभ्रामितः.
स्वप्ने जागृत्याय एष पुरुषो माया परिभ्रामितः
तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये.
तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये दक्षिणामूर्तये.
Okay, so we are continuing where we left off. So he says, Vishwam Pashyati, the world is seen, Bhedataha, differently. Why? Karya Karanataya, because of the dualistic impact of Karyam and Karanam. There is a cause, there is a effect. They are basically the same, but we find that even though they are the same, they are looked at differently. Right? And how are they different? Shishya Acharya Tayaha. It is the same Brahman, it is the same Atma, but one is seen as Shishya, the student, and one is seen as Acharya, the teacher. And again, another example is given, Pitra Putradihi is seen as the father and the son, and Swaswamihi is seen as mine and me, Swami, and Swami is the master, so me, and Swa, what is mine? So me and mine, it is seen. And there are so many connections, sambandataha. There are many connections because of the me and mine, the ahankaraha. And there are other states also, swapna, that is the sleeping state, jagrati, the waking state. All these are being perceived differently in that world which is only one Brahman, by whom Esha Purushaha Maya Paribhramitaha. Mute all of you all because somebody is talking again. All right. So, Vishwam Pashyati Bhedataha. The world is seen differently. Right? And Shankara says that most people are Ajnanis and they are identified with Ahankara because they don't own up the Sakshi I. And that is why Esha Purushaha Maya Paribhramitaha. Paribhramitaha is deluded, confused by Maya Shakti. That person, that Esha Purushaha, that person is deluded by the Avarna Shakti of Maya. And that Brahman, that Purushaha, who is basically Brahman only, because of Sambandataha, many connections with many relationships, he becomes a Jiva. All this is because of what? Karya Karanatayaha. They are due to the Karana Karya Sambandhaha, the cause and effect relationships, which manifest in very many ways. We saw mine and me, father and son, guru and shishya. All this is all manifestation of that same old delusion caused by Maya. And of course, he first talks about the relationships, and then he says there is also the states also. Swapna Jagrataha, the dream and waking states, they are also caused because of delusion. Only in Sushupti Avastha, there is total peace because there are no relationships. Why? Because the mind is resolved. But Sushupti is not a permanent solution. Neither for that matter is Maranam, death, a permanent solution. Therefore, what should you do? Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Nama Idam Shri Dakshina Murtaye. To that Dakshina Murti, I have to pay my obeisances. Then verse number 9. We will chant. So please unmute yourself. भूरं भास्यनलो नीलोऽम्बरम् अहरनाथो हिमांशुः पुमान्
भूरम्भास्यनलो
निलोम्बरमहर्नाथो
हिमांशुः
पुमान्
इत्याभाति चराचरात्मकमिदं यस्यैव मूर्ति अष्टकम्
नित्याभाति चराचरात्मकमिदं यस्यैव मूर्त्यष्टकम्
नान्यत् किंचिन विद्यते विमृशतां यस्मात् परस्माद् विभोः
नान्यत् विद्यते विमृशतां यस्मात् परस्माद् विभोः
तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये
तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्री.
Okay, so look at the first word. You have to carefully break it up. Bhuhu, Ambasaha, Analaha, Anilaha, and Ambaram. What is Bhuhu?
Earth.
Prithvi. Bhu is the earth. Prithvi. Ambasa is the waters. Water. Anala is fire. What is Anila?
Air.
Air,
Vayu.
the wind, Vayu. So, earth, waters, fire, Vayu, and Ambaram, space. Right? That's 5. And then Aharaha Nathaha, the Lord of the day. Aha means day. Nathaha means Lord. Aharaha Nathaha, Lord of the day. Who is that?
Surya.
Surya. So all this has to be carefully derived. Surya is not mentioned here. Aharaha Nathaha means Surya. Himanshu means the moon. And Puman, the person. Murti. Murti is a form. Ashtakam, the eightfold form. This eightfold form, idam chara acharaha, that which moves, charam, and that which does not move, acharam, iti abhati. This Dakshinamurti appears in this eightfold form. Okay, now if you remember the Gita, there also we had a close description, but it was not eightfold over there. It was how many parts were there? Come on, guys. Which chapter of the Gita talked about the eightfold form? No? Oh, how can you forget? If you can forget all these things, you will...
Yoga.
Sorry?
Chapter 7, Jnana Yoga.
Chapter 7. What was the... Do you remember the... very, very close to this. Bhumi rapo nalo vayuhu khammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtada. But there, the eightfold form was what? You're forgetting your Gita. It was Apara Prakriti. And then he said that Apare matistvanyam prakritim vidhi me param. My para prakriti is separate. It is jiva bhuta mahabhav. So there it was 9, 8 pieces of anatma and 1 piece of atma. Here we are talking about 8 covering everything. Puman here is the 8th portion. Okay. So let's see. So these 2 verses, and incidentally, one which I have read somewhere is that this Dakshinamurthy Stotram is also called Dakshinamurthy Ashtakam. So it would appear that there are 2 versions, one with 8 verses and one with 10 verses. Okay. So what we are now doing is the last 2 verses. Whether they were part of the original or not, we don't know. Maybe the remaining 2 verses were added by somebody else because they are basically summary verses. And if you look at the teaching, with the 8th verse, the teaching is over. Right? Here it is a summary. And Dakshinamurti here is presented as what? As Vishwarupa Ishvara. So Ashtakam, the 8-fold division. The Srishti is divided into Bhu, Ambasaha, Analaha, Anilaha, Ambaram. These are the 5 elements. Then the sun and the moon, that is Ahanataha, Lord of the Sun, Himanshu is the moon. And what would be the breakup of Himanshu? Anybody?
Hima Amshu. Hima means snow. Amshu means rays. So the moon's rays are like cold and
excellent, Nagaraji. Excellent. So Hima means cool. Basically snow, so cool over here. Amshu is the rays. The moon's rays are cool in comparison to the sun. Okay, so Himanshu. All right. This is all by the way, okay, only just because we are talking about this. So these are representing basically the Bhautika Prapancha, the modification of the Pancha Mahabhutanis. The modification is called the Bhautika, what we call elements, after Panchikaranam, right? We call them elementals. The bhutas are the elements, the Bhautikas are post combination, so we call them elementals. And if you look here, you see that there are 7 achetana factors, 7 jada factors. What are they? The 5 Pancha Mahabhutani, the sun and the moon. These are the jada factors, achetana factors. And here, Puman represents the entire Chetana Prapancha. Consciousness principle available in the entire Chetana Prapancha. Puman represents this. And therefore, the author says, Ityabhati charat chara acharatmakam idam murtaye ashtakam. These 8-fold classification, abhati, iti abhati. Iti abhati is iti abhati. Abhati means it includes or it represents. So iti abhati includes the 8-fold factors which are both chara and achara, which are both moving and non-moving. And this is the very body of Dakshinamurti. Right? And the question might come, no, is in the Vishwarupa, since the sun is there, the moon is there, Shiva is there, Vishnu is there, will there be any difference? No. In Vishwarupa, there is no difference. But when we are looking at Ekarupa, the descriptions will vary. And that's why the Jnani knows, na anyat kinchana vidyate vimrishatam yasmat parasmat vibhoho. So vimrishatam. Vimrishatam means the one who has done an analysis, the one who has assimilated the Veda. So vimrishatam is another name for the Jnani. What does he know? Na anya kinchit vidyate. Na anya kinchit vidyate. Nothing exists other than. Other than what? Yasmat. Yasmat is other than this. Which is this? Parasmat vibhoho. Vibhu, which is all pervading. Parasmat. This is the supreme thing. Nothing exists other than the all pervading supreme entity. So nanyat kinchit vidyate yasmat parasmat vibhoho. Nothing exists other than this one supreme all pervading vibhu entity. Okay. Who knows this? Vimrishatam, the Jnani. And remember, Krishna says the same thing in Bhagavad Gita. Anybody remembers? Almost the same words. 7th chapter itself. What does he say? Matta parataram
Nasti.
Matta parataram nanyat asti kinchin dhananjaya. There is nothing higher than me, O Dhananjaya. Right? Therefore, your own body is part of Daxinamurthy, Vishwarupa. And therefore, if at all we talk about Vedanta, we cannot talk about Ishvara and Jagat. Remember, there is no Jagat separate from Ishvara. And therefore, these sloka, these last two slokas, if you look at it, or rather this sloka, this particular sloka, 9th sloka, is a Nididhyasanam sloka. But for the one who has gone through Shravanam and Mananam. But for the one who has not come to Jnanam, obviously, Nididhyasanam will not be there. So for such a person also, this sloka is very much relevant. For him, it is Upasana sloka on Vishwarupa Ishvaraha. Okay, now verse number 10. Sarvatvatam iti sputikriti idam yasmad ushmin sthave.
Sarvatmattvamiti sputikrtamidam yasmadamushmin stave.
Enasya shravanat tadartham mananat dhyanat samkirtinat.
Tenasya shravanat tadarthamananat dhyanatya sankirtanat.
Sarvatvam aham vibhuti sahitam syadishvaratvam swataha.
Sarvattvama vibhuti sahitam syadishvaratvam tataha.
Siddhayatte tat punar asthada parinatam chaishwaryam vyahatam.
Siddhyet punarashtha parinatam ishwaryamavyahatam.
Chaishwaryam vyahatam. Okay, all long words, mouth splitting. But anyway, and this verse gives the benefits of this particular knowledge of Atmajnanam. It's a different verse. It gives Falashruti. So Amushmin. Amushmin means in this. In this what? Amush means Sthave. Sthave is Stuti, praise. Amush means Sthave. In this praise, Idam Sutikritam. This has been made Sfutikritam. Idam Kritam means this has been made. Made what? Sfuti. Clear. Clarity has been given is the meaning of Idam Sfutikritam. In this verse which is praising Dakshinamurti, there is a clear message. Iti Sarvatmatvam. This Brahmatvam, this Atmatvam, Yasmat, because Tena Asya Shravanat. Because you have listened to this particular Jnanam, and not only that, so Shravanat, you have listened. Not only that, Arthamananat, you have contemplated upon the meaning, and Dhyanat. So there has been Nididhyasanam also. So very beautifully done. In the process, you have to do Shravanam, you have to do Mananam, Arthamananam, and you have to do Dhyanam also. And not only that, he adds one more over here. Samkirtanat. Sankirtanam is Parayanam, recitation, right? So you have to also recite so that you remember it all the time. And Syat Swataha, your own Ishwaratvam, Sahitvam along with Mahavibhuti, great glory, Sarvatmatvam, the state of being Sarvatma, being Brahman, Siddhyate, that is been clearly understood by you, Tataha, Punaha, therefore again, Ashtadha Parinatam. Ashtada means eightfold, Parinatam means powers, and Aishwaryam means overlordship, and Avyahatam. Avyahatam is without any obstructions. So essentially he's saying that in this manner, in this Dakshinamurti Stotram, iti idam sarvatmatvam sfutikritam. In this manner, in Dakshinamurti Stotram, the sarvatma bhavaha, the idea that you are the essence of everything that exists, has been taught, has been made very clear. Remember, the sarvatma is nothing but atma only. And other than atma, nothing exists. That is some message which is being very, very clearly given over here. Brahma satyam jagat mithya jivo brahmaiva na paraha. As Shankaracharya said, that is the essential message of any Vedantic text, including this one. And therefore he says, amushmin sthave. This was taught in this text, which is a stotram. This is not only Vedantic text, this stotram is also used by way of Parayanam as a prayer, and therefore it's a praise, it's a hymn. So he says amushmin sthave. He is referring to the entire text as a prayer verse. And therefore, asya sravanat, by listening to this text, and of course we have to add a systematic and consistent and a long-term study of the text under the guidance of a competent teacher. All that you have to add. And Shravanam alone is not enough. Tatham artha mananat. You have to understand the meaning of what has been taught through mananam. And after that, when Shravanam has given you the knowledge, when mananam has converted that knowledge into doubtless knowledge, dhyanat, with the help of nididhyasanam, assimilate the knowledge so that it becomes natural to you. And of course, as I said, he has used another word, sankirtanam. So sankirtanam has two meanings. One is for the people who are not yet ready for jnanam. For them, it means parayanam, it means upasana, recitation. But once you have acquired the jnanam, once you are ready with jnana yogyata and you have completed shravanam mananam and nididhyasanam, the knowledge has been assimilated. Then what is the meaning of sankirtanam? For a person who has got the knowledge, who has assimilated the knowledge, post nididhyasanam also, sankirtanam is being used. There it means teaching others. Why? Because teaching is the best form of nididhyasanam. When you teach, for the teacher, there is complete focus. From the very first word of the class till the last word of the class, the teacher's mind has to be completely and totally focused. And of course, there is another reason also for the teaching. One, of course, is it gives you total focus. It gives you nididhyasanam, the best form of nididhyasanam. And secondly, teaching is necessary to maintain the Guru Shishya Parampara, without which the knowledge is lost. And if you keep on doing all this, Shravanam, Mananam, Sankirtanam, Nididhyasanam, teaching, what will happen? Sarvatmatvam syat. You will attain the state of Sarvatma, of Brahman. What is that? The knowledge is, I am everything. Aham Sarvam. This is the knowledge. And he says this knowledge, this absolutely convincing knowledge that I am everything, this is Mahavibhutihi, the greatest glory of this teaching. Vibhuti is a glory, as we saw in Gita class. Mahavibhuti is the greatest glory. That is the greatest glory of this teaching. That it gives you the knowledge that you are everything. And what is that everything? Ashthada parinatam cha aishwaryam. You are the Dakshinamurti himself with the eightfold status which we talked about. So I will attain the status of Dakshinamurti, of Nirguna Brahman. Right? And then you can claim Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, Mayi Sarvam Pratishtam. From me alone, everything is born. By me alone, everything is sustained. And everything is resolving into me also. Remember that some texts, they will interpret Ashtadha Parinatam as 8 powers. That is Ashtamaha Siddhi. So there are, in the Puranas, there are these mystic powers mentioned. Anima, ability to shrink. Mahima, ability to expand. Laghima, power to become very light. Garima, or they become very heavy, and so on, right? But in the context of this Daxinamurthy Stotram, that particular interpretation we should not take. Why? Why should we not take the 8 power interpretation?
Indicates apara.
Because that is not the purpose of
It is all
study.
anatma, and whatever anatma is there, powerful or otherwise, you are still subject to samsara. And therefore, Easwaratvam, he becomes the master of everything, no longer subject to samsara. The world cannot trouble you anymore. And this is what we call Jivan Muktihi. Jivan Muktihi, the logical end is Videha Muktihi. But again, I will repeat, Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti at this stage of your spiritual journey, there should not be, your focus of your attention at all. What should be the focus of attention?
Assimilation of the
Aham Brahmasmi.
No.
Yeah.
Chitta Shuddhi.
Well, let's see. Meda, are you there? Okay, she's not there. Fine. Remember that Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti are from which viewpoint? Vyavaharika or Paramarthika?
Vyavaharika.
Vyavaharika.
Brahman is which viewpoint?
Paramarthika.
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 So wherever you say Jivan Mukti leading to Videha Mukti, remember you are a junior student. You are stuck in Vyavaharika. For a Paramarthika student, for the senior student, there is no concept of Jivan Mukti or Videha Mukti. Why? Because Jivan Mukti means there is a time frame involved. I am going to become Jivan Mukta, and then later on I will become Videha Mukta. What is the truth?
We are already that.
You are already Brahman. You were Brahman. You will
already
continue to be Brahman. So that is called Nitya Mukti. Remember, for the senior student, Nitya Mukti is what he is looking at. For him, Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti are just words. They are, introductory classes for the junior student, so that he comes to Jnanam, he comes to the scriptures, he comes to classes. But the senior student knows that there is no concept at all. He is Brahman, has been Brahman, and he will be Brahman. Where is the question of Mukti at all? The very sadhana itself is your obstruction. As long as you are a sadhaka, you will never become Nitya Mukta. So with this, we'll stop for the day. Any questions?
Acharya,
Yes, John.
in verse 8, when we say Karya Karana Tayaha,
Uh-huh.
what is the meaning of Tayaha?
Taya means because of the idea of Karanam and Karyam.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so with this we'll stop. Thank you for your patience. And I think Arunaji, I will request Arunaji to share the chapter 1 of Mandukya Upanishad, which will start in the next class.
Acharya, yes.
Yeah, okay. With this we'll stop. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamada Purnam
Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you Ravi sir. Om Namaste.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.